Sunday's episode of Euphoria is proof that hard-hitting shows are going strong during the pandemic. So how are audiences finding comfort in the chaos? I'm Dometi Pongo, and this is MTV News Need to Know. In the midst of a pandemic and the emotional roller coaster that the last 2 years have been, some of the biggest blockbusters have been graphic survival shows or grim dramas. So are these traumatic shows exacerbating our stress or helping to relieve us from it? Before the Euphoria Season 2 premiere, Zendaya put out a warning that said, in part, this season, maybe even more so than the last, is deeply emotional and deals with subject matter that can be triggering and difficult to watch. In spite of that, or maybe even because of it, the episode broke HBO Max rating records and became the most streamed premiere the network has ever had. And in episode 3, which aired on Sunday, it continued to dig into tough topics like Cal's repressed sexuality, Rue's complex relationship with Jules, and watching a loved one relapse. And it's not just HBO scoring big numbers by pushing the envelope. On Showtime, Yellow Jackets became the second most watched show in the company's history. It comes between two timelines: a group of teen soccer players trapped in the woods after a plane crash, and their older selves dealing with the trauma years later. It deals with everything from petty teen arguments to cannibalism, and it basically took over the internet. On Netflix, the film Don't Look Up scored the biggest week of views in history, and the brutal show Squid Game smashed the record for that streamer's most watched show ever. Are you seeing the pattern here? Some folks like journalist Candace Lowry are joking about getting solace from shows that are absolutely miserable. It's my comfort show. The show. #Euphoria. One Twitter user responded sincerely, tweeting that Euphoria is my comfort show because I like to know that other people out there have problems like I have had. Mental health professionals say that this is legit, as TV is evolving to depict real-world trauma and masterfully tackle nuanced storylines. Writer Ashley Broadwater did a piece for HuffPost about how survival shows could be cathartic for people during the pandemic. Psychologist Sabrina Romanoff told Broadwater that watching the fears and worries of others may validate our own anxieties. It's a process called projective identification. Essentially, it means that when watching these storylines, we project our own emotions onto the characters and start processing them in turn. And the best part is when it becomes too overwhelming, unlike in real life, we can just turn off the TV. The pandemic has brought on increased rates of anxiety and substance misuse, especially for Gen Z. And though all the shows we mentioned are fiction, they are all inspired by harsh realities in our society and can help us cope with those truths. Pop culture podcaster Josiah Hughes tweeted, "A lot of folks don't realize that Squid Game is actually a reflection of our own humanity. So when people use that as a lens through which to process atrocities, COVID-19, late capitalism, etc., they're not being cringe. They're experiencing catharsis." And evidence suggests that this cathartic process can actually affect how we see one another. A study conducted for ResearchGate showed one control group an episode of The Good Wife, while the others watched a non-fiction documentary or no TV at all. The ones that watched the fictional show were able to correctly identify the emotions in photos of human faces better than others. The results suggest that TV boosts emotional intelligence. As Zendaya pointed out, these graphic shows can be triggering, but processing trauma can also deliver a sense of, well, euphoria. Beyond the violence and messiness, these shows are helping people feel seen. During a time when isolation and loneliness can make us feel helpless, good stories can give us the strength to keep on going. I'm Dometi Pongo, and that's what you need to know.